Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's talk about an aspect of trading that gets overlooked quite a bit and often trainers don't actually talk about in their training, and that's planning for your day. You can see this is our 240-minute chart for the ES futures, and what I do to plan for my day is one, I listen to the end of day videos that Thomas Wood does every night. That gives me an idea of what he's expecting for the markets to do. He gives us our setups and we look to see if they trigger. In this particular case, we actually had a 240-minute trigger in the overnight. And this is our 240-minute chart. You can see we pushed higher, set up a bull flag, triggered it in the overnight. This actually triggered during the overnight session, and then we came into the US session with a bullish bias. 5 and 13 crossed to the upside, 50 above the 200, fast and slow line on momentum crossed to the upside, momentum histogram's bullish. Now price was still below the cloud, but other than that, this chart leans bullish. We had this hammer triggered, and actually that 240-minute chart just continued to work its way higher ever since. Ran into some resistance at the 200. We know that happens. Closed above it, ran into it, pulled back under it, and then eventually closed above it. And then we continued to push higher. So we had a really nice bullish 240-minute chart to work with today. We had broken above all of our resistances, had nice solid closes above them, positive momentum, positive chart with a 240-minute trigger. So we're definitely looking to the bullish side. It makes sense. Bullish chart with a bullish trigger. We're looking for bullish setups. Then we go to our next higher time frame chart, or actually our next lower time frame chart, which is our 30-minute chart. And you can see that this chart was making higher highs, higher lows, was also in a bullish phase. 5 and 13 crossed to the upside, 50 crossed the 200 to the upside above the cloud, and we were making higher highs, higher lows throughout the evening session. Now, as we were coming into the US session, we actually went into a compression phase here towards the end of the London session and coming into the US session. US session opened on that bar right there. We were actually in compression, and that's actually a good thing because now we know that the probabilities of breaking out of compression will lead to a larger move. So we're coming right into the session in compression with the potential of right off the bat getting a decent move, which ultimately ended up happening. Now momentum during that compression phase had actually fast and the slow line had crossed back down, but then when we triggered, we went right back up and momentum went bullish. So we had a bullish 240-minute chart and a bullish 30-minute chart. Broke out of compression for a nice move to the upside. That triggered in when we broke the high of that doji right there, which was 3800.25, and then we ran all the way to a high of 3835.75. So, potentially, depending on how you're trading it, but potentially 35 ES points, which is a little over $1,800 per contract potential. Now, nobody's picking tops and bottoms. You probably didn't get all of that, but definitely the potential to grab a big chunk of that. We pushed higher, got a little extended, pulled back, set up another bull flag, triggered that to the upside, and at this point we were extended on the 30-minute chart, and we had hit significantly overvalued on the 240-minute chart. And we know that when we hit significantly overvalued on the 240-minute chart, we're going to get one of three things. We're going to get a pullback, we're going to get consolidation, or we're going to reverse. Typically, what we get is a pullback and then go into consolidation. That's kind of normal in a solid uptrend, and especially with a nice bullish chart like that. Really weren't looking for a reversal. Typically what we get is a pullback and we go into consolidation, and that's exactly what we did. Pulled back a little bit, and then you could see really for the entire rest of the afternoon the ES just went sideways. But when we started the afternoon session, that was actually part of our planning for the session. a couple people in the room were asking about expectations for the ES and looking for potential trade entries. And I'd mentioned that really my expectation was for the ES to go sideways for the most part the rest of the afternoon. And that's what happened. We had gotten extended. We're in a bullish chart. Again, we were extended, and typically we pull back. We pulled back some, and then we just went sideways for the rest of the afternoon. Broke out right at the end of the session. Then this is the after hours session. But again, going into the afternoon session, we still had a plan and an expectation. And our expectation was really for us not to be able to do much of anything, because our expectation was for price to go sideways, and that's exactly what ended up playing out. So the indexes just kind of followed the script for the afternoon. Here was our Renko chart. And here in this morning, this is where we were in that compression coming into the U.S. session right here at 8:30 Central Time, because I'm Central Time, is when the U.S. session, the pit opens. And you could see we triggered that doji, and then we had this nice move to the upside. And we had a nice Renko setup, slow line zero touch. Price was already making slightly higher highs and higher lows inside this compression. We wicked out of the cloud, slow line zero touch, so we had plenty of room for momentum. The slow line zero touch means slow line on MQ momentum pulled down to the zero line and then continued higher. The zero line is the line that the histograms move above and below, so we have a nice momentum reset, which means we have plenty of room for momentum to accelerate our trade in the direction we wanted to go. Got a nice push up, pulled back into our moving averages, got another nice momentum reset right here, fast line zero touch for another leg higher. We were extended at this point, went into some consolidation. And that, that's typical. We know we're going to consolidate for around 20-30 minutes, and that's pretty much what we did. Set up another fast line zero touch off the moving averages for a push higher. If you'd taken this one, if you got out and we're going to get back in, you probably would have got stopped out on that with the 5-bar rule. No big deal. Not every trade's a winner. Made a better momentum reset right here. Made our wick off the 34 and the 18 for a final leg higher up into target. Our target was actually 38.28 and then ultimately 38.32 and a quarter, which is where we ultimately ended up going to. We actually went up to 32 and a quarter and actually just a little bit above that, but our initial target was 38.28. So hit our target. We were extended at this point and then really kind of went sideways, a little leg higher, but not really interested in chasing an extended market. But again, we analyzed our data from the overnight. We had an expectation of price moving higher, and so we were looking for bullish trades. And you can see our bullish trades worked out nicely in the ES today.